what is going on, Ranger fans? Welcome back to another edition of 407 Rangers. I'm your host, Raymond Tapia. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and a comment. Turn on your notifications every time I'm about to upload a post, recap, or highlights. Now, I'm glad you guys are tuning in because obviously we have a lot to talk about. Excuse me, guys, especially after what has happened with Ryan Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey being traded, and obviously Chris Drury is not done because he has Riley Smith apparently on the trading block as well. So lots to talk about, and we got some catching up to do because me and my guy, we've been very busy this week. I'm not going to hold y'all, so it was a lot of catching up, but we're back in the business, and we're going to keep giving you guys the content. Nothing stops us, even if things outside of YouTube puts us on hold. So we'll start with the Islanders game. As y'all know, that was the game where pretty much Adam Fox caused the injury, which I know everybody's concerned and worried, but Adam Fox isn't going to be out too long. We're just going to have to deal with one more week without him because I know from what I've seen in the status, he's only going to be out for a week. So we'll take a week over a couple of months because compared to last season, he was hurt a lot longer. And then when he came back to the playoffs, it was kind of too late. So having Adam Fox healthy rather than having him out for a couple of months and then you get him back in the postseason like last year, it's a much better situation. But as y'all know in the Islanders game, Johnny Brodzinski had 3 points himself. He had 2 goals and 1 assist. JT Miller, which JT Miller has actually been probably the best thing to happen for the Rangers lately because he's been consistently scoring points. Like I have nothing to complain about with JT Miller right now because he has literally been like scoring every game. So what can I say about him? Absolutely nothing bad about it. Matt Rampey, of course, scores the goal that game. Uro Vakanainen then scored, and then you had the injury of Adam Fox falling down hard on the ice with his shoulder, which caused him to be out for a little bit. And of course, Alexander Romanov, the only Islander that scored that game, which Rangers actually played amazing that game. There was if you really watched the game, it was hilarious because you had more Ranger fans than Islander fans at the UBS Arena. Everybody was chanting Igor Rampe, like, let's go Rangers. It seemed like they just brought the Madison Square Garden to Staten Island and just started making it a Rangers home game, which was funny to watch. But of course, we'll get to the disastrous Toronto Maple Leafs game as well, which I can also say that game was 80% on Igor, 20% on the Rangers because Igor allowed so Igor allowed a lot of softy goals, man, and a couple of muffins this game. So I cannot put the blame on the defense from the Rangers because if you guys seen the highlights, Igor pretty much gave the Toronto Maple Leafs 2 free goals that game, which was so atrocious to watch. You had William Matthew Knight score the goal in the third one as well, which that was the icing on the cake for me when I was just like, yep, this one's on Igor 100% because why would you pass the puck down knowing there's 2 Maple Leafs in front of you, ready to forecheck and grab the puck from you, and all it takes is one poke and they got the puck just like that, and you got to run back to the net. And no surprise, Matthew Knight hits the goal, and just like that, the Rangers are fighting for their lives, and the Maple Leafs end up victorious in that game. Which, shout out to Anthony Stolarz, because man, I keep telling everyone, you got to stop sleeping on the Maple Leafs. Like, we can sit here and say they've had that second round curse, they're not going to be able to get past that, but you never know. With how they've been playing in the regular season, you just never know in the postseason. I genuinely feel like they could break the second round curse this year if they stay healthy enough, and if Stolarz is goaltending like this throughout the season. And of course, if Nylander and Austin Matthews and Mitch Martin and everybody else from that team do their job, they're gonna be scary to watch. I'm telling you. Don't say I didn't tell you. But of course, you had Mika Zibanejad. He had scored the goal that game. And then Will Cooley, he was the one that carried us, and that's when Igor was just, like I said, it was all on Igor in that game. That game was just so frustrating to watch because we had deserved that win, and we didn't get it, all thanks to the $11.5 million goalie. Now, of course, we're going to get to this trade because, as you guys know, Ryan Lindgren and Jimmy Vesey was traded to the Colorado Avalanche for Calvin DeHaan and Juuso Perisinen in the second round and fourth round 2025 NHL draft pick. And the Rangers actually retained 50% of Ryan Lindgren's $4.5 million one-year contract. So they're going to get a nice chunk from that. And this was a really good deal. I mean, everybody can sit here and say Colorado got fleeced on this deal, but Colorado's going to be just fine because what Ryan Lindgren, even though he had two horrible seasons this freaking recently, I can't sit here and say he didn't play like horrible the whole time he's been here. No, it's just the past two seasons he's been very gross to watch. The other seasons he was great, great guy to have gotten picked up. But then from there on, just like I said, with this core we have now, there's only a couple of guys that are just washed and got to see a new picture. And we just got to start with a different, whole new depth, if you ask me. Which I see Chris Drury is getting there because he's not playing games about it. And of course, freaking Juso Pastanarin had 6 hits tonight, and Calvin DeHaan with his first point as a Ranger, ironically, with the assist. And the Rangers actually played spectacular tonight with the Predators. Absolutely just annihilated this team, which the Predators are probably the most disappointing team in the NHL this year because they looked like they were going to be Stanley Cup potential favorites on paper. And then this whole year has just been absolutely turbo wolf shit, like that boy Evan from Rangers Central said today. They're just gross, man. They're just a whole cesspool of a dumpster fire, man. That's the best way to put the Predators, unfortunately. And in my opinion, Steven Stamkos should have just stayed with the Tampa Bay Lightning and became a power play player, and it would have been just fine, man. Tampa would have not had no complaints about Steven Stamkos staying, but that's what happens when you're trying to think you're bigger than the game and you want more money, and then the team says, we know what you can only bring us, but we're not giving you this money. So Tampa was smart on their end for just saying, you know what, we're gonna move on from the Stamkos blueprint. It was great what you did. You got us some cups, but we're gonna go ahead and get Jake Guentzel, and they're doing a lot better without him, as you can see. But in the first period, you had Artemi Panarin score the goal. Alexis Lafreniere finally gained himself an apple, which that guy, we're gonna, whew, man, he's been. I'm gonna start calling Alexis Lafreniere Milk Carton Lafreniere because he has just been absolutely missing. Finally been found today, so we'll get there. We're getting there. He's slowly getting off the. He's not out the milk carton saga yet. Absolutely not. We're not gonna sit here and say he's out of the milk carton saga. Nope. Mika Zibanejad has been the guy that's been escaping the milk carton faster than Alexis Lafreniere. We're gonna definitely put it at that because yeah, Mika's been wolf shit, but Mika's been doing way better. I have nothing to complain about with Mika Zibanejad because he's been actually playing a lot better in the second half of the season. So, second period comes along, and you had JT Miller, of course, scoring the goal, which I keep telling y'all, if he keeps this going and we somehow get to the playoffs and they still do one more, two more moves that somehow keep them in the mix, I don't know if they can like give a deep run like last year. They might go second round, possibility. They got to get to the wild card first because even though they got the 2 points tonight, they still need two more to stay in the mix, which is crazy to say because they're still like Ottawa, Detroit, Columbus, Montreal, Philadelphia. All those guys are still in the mix. So I just gave y'all 5 teams, guys, that they still got to fight for that spot. So it's going to be tough for the Rangers to gain it. I'm not going to hold you. Even with the consistency, it's going to be tough. So you had Keandre Miller, of course, score the goal right after, and then JT Miller with the assist, which was very funny and ironic to see that both Millers on that play did produce on that one. And then Mika Zibanejad with his second assist, giving him his 31st. So Mika Zibanejad, like I said, getting out the milk carton saga, but he's not milestone Mika just yet. I'm not convinced just yet. I'm not giving him milestone Mika until he starts being a lot more consistent with the point producing. Then he can be his milestone Mika. Cool, he got it. So right after that, in the third period, you had Brett Berard, which man, I am so glad these guys finally got a brain and called him up because this is what Brett Berard does when he comes to the Rangers. He always has to remind Laviolette, the front office, that this is what you got me for. Let me show you why I'm a fast skater and scoring a goal. Like, if they send him back down to the Wolfpack, they are absolutely stupid for it. Like, I will just steam blowing off wouldn't even be the word if I see that happen. Because no, don't you dare put Brett Berard back in the Wolfpack. We don't want to see that shit. And I'm sure every single Ranger fan will sit here and say the same thing. Because Brett Berard is just proving himself every freaking time. And I'm so tired of him getting sent down and having to wait when he is already the guy that fits in the system and knows how to play this Ranger hockey. He's like showing them this is what happens when you get a young guy like me. Let me show you how the speed I have can keep up with the modern generation of the NHL game that they're playing today, man. Because that's what the Rangers got to keep doing, man. They keep trying to go for these 30-year-old guys. I'm just like, bro, go get some mid 20-year-old guys. Like, give it just one try. You never know. It might just work. But of course, Jonathan Quick, he had his shutout with 34 saves and then giving it his victory on his 800th game. And congrats to Jonathan Quick, which I got to talk about Jonathan Quick because if you guys check out Rangers Central, you will also see how like we talk about they talk about the Seth Jones deal and things of that nature. And we all were saying, and I was just ironically thinking this randomly in my head, Jonathan Quick should just go to the Florida Panthers just to get one more Stanley Cup. Because as much as I would hate to see Jonathan Quick go, he deserves to go to a team that could give him a legitimate shot at one more cup. Because if anybody deserves a Stanley Cup, it's definitely Jonathan Quick. Like Jonathan Quick has just been an amazing, amazing player for his age. Like he's just fine wine aging, man. Like, and I get it. Like we all think like he might bring it here in the Rangers, but it's a little too late for that, man. That's why you might as well move him now while he's hot and consistent. So Florida definitely needs a backup goalie ever since they moved Spencer Knight because they're most likely going to let Bobrovsky play for the rest of the games because I think there's only like, what, 20, 19 games left for them or something like that. But they still need a backup goalie because even though Bobrovsky is going to most likely be the only starting goalie for their playoffs, they still need one, regardless of that factor. But the Panthers are definitely a team I'd watch out for now that they got Seth Jones, and even though Matthew Tkachuk's on LTIR, nobody's stupid. They're gonna most likely bring him back in the postseason, and that's when everybody's gonna have to watch out for the Panthers because I thought the Capitals were gonna be a dangerous team to watch, which they still can be. But now that the Florida Panthers have acquired Seth Jones, it just shows you that they're gonna get better no matter what. They're trying to get another cup. They're going for a third one to be the just like the Tampa Bay Lightning going 3 cups in a row, trying to win 2 out of them, and I don't blame them. I mean, they still have time to do it. So it was a great move on their end. Blackhawks, they're still building from the future, so everything they got out of that trade as well, bringing in Spencer Knight and acquiring a couple of draft picks and extra cash and things of that nature, it all made sense for both teams. So we still got a lot more going on as well before the trade deadline because, as y'all know, March 7th reaches the deadline. So there's going to be a hectic roller coaster week for every team, even the New York Rangers, because I'm sure Chris Drury is not done. We know Riley Smith's right there on the chopping block, but is Chris Kreider going to be in that position? We're not too sure because now that he's been healthy, scratched, and injured in the injured reserve list, and you know he has back spasm problems, despite what he has done for the New York Rangers throughout the time of being here in like 14, 15 seasons and things of that nature, he's not worth any trade value right now because of the situation he's in right now. Because he's pretty much checked out and washed, if you ask me. And I love Chris Kreider. I am not hating on him. I'm not an anti-Kreider dude at all. I give nothing but respect and props for what he has done for the New York Rangers. But his time is simply up. And if you ask any diehard Chris Kreider fan, they gotta feel the same way. It's like you hate seeing him washed, but you know his time is up, and it's time for Kreider to move on. And trust me, I'm going to miss Christopher James Kreider, but I also know it's time for him to go to another team because we need a little more younger pieces. So I'm sure Chris Kreider is going to most likely be moved in the offseason. And I know it's going to be the most heartbreaking one. I get it, Ranger fans, because he was a huge fan favorite throughout a decade and damn near 2 decades being with the Rangers. I totally get it, but guys, this is the name of the game. The NHL is not just a hockey game; it's a hockey business. And we're in the position now where it's time to see a different picture. Like I'm ready to even see Panarin, me, all of them. I'm ready to see all of them go. That's how like brand new of the picture's got to be for the New York Rangers. So I'm sure even though Panarin's been producing for us this season, if he does not produce in the playoffs, they're definitely most likely going to figure out what to do with him in the offseason because it's cool that he does what he does in the regular season, but if he keeps being inconsistent in the playoffs, you might most likely see him not get the extension this summer. So I will keep you guys updated for the next game as well, because I know it was a lot to talk about, Rangers fans, and I truly appreciate y'all tuning in and being patient with your boy and just hearing me out, which I know has been a huge rant to say and things of that nature. But tomorrow they are going to play the New York Islanders, so they are back in the Garden, which I wouldn't mind seeing them get a back-to-back win from the Islanders, because the Islanders are that's another team that's like right there, but they're 3 games behind the Rangers. So if they keep losing, then there's no chance for them. But